Hey guys, so I know it's been a while, but I've got a chess video for you guys, and I'll explain to you what I'm doing against this 1500 level computer, see if you can learn anything from it. So the game begins with e4, it's a book move. He plays c6, so we get right into the Caro-Kann defense. I play d4, that's also a book move. He plays d5, just trying to combat my center. And I play knight to c3, which, you know, it it uh, it fortifies my center and tries to take better control of it. He captures with his book. I capture with my knight, gaining more control of the center of the board and closer to his kingdom. He brings his knight out to f6. He wants to trade. I guess book here is knight to g3, but I played a mistake of queen to f3. In this move, it was not my intention to play it, but I play so many daily games that I'm used to being able to move a piece somewhere and then, you know, cancel the move, which is what I was trying to do here. So it just automatically just made that mistake. So that was not what I intended to do, and it did blunder away a pawn. But I'm going to use this to get the initiative. First, I defend my knight in the center on e4. Because, in chess, if a piece is attacked so many times, that's how many times you need to have it defended. Like, you don't count back and forth all the moves. You just count the defenders and the quality of defenders. So, that's one tip I can give you guys, you beginners that are trying to get better at the game, is don't waste your time counting the moves in an exchange battle. Count the number of pieces. So he brings his bishop out to g4, and what that does is it attacks my queen. She doesn't have a lot of places to go. But I played queen to g3 after playing knight captures f6 first. I wanted to tempt him into playing queen captures f6 because that would remove the defender of the bishop on g4. He was smarter than that, and he captured with the e-pawn. E captures f6. So now I move my queen to g3, like I said. And the idea is just to keep pressure on that bishop and to keep a line on the to x-ray the g7 square in case he castles there. Now he should have brought his bishop out to g6, and I probably would have played pawn to f4, or I would have counterattacked his queen with knight to f3. But he played bishop to c5, and that was a bad move. And it allowed me to get the initiative. It gave me the advantage. So I started off with knight e2. I guess it was an inaccuracy. It looks like probably what I should have played is maybe it was looking for h3 maybe. No, unable to evaluate. What? Okay, well, it's not going to evaluate it anymore. That's weird. It's never done that before. But anyway, it looked like a fine move to me because it just attacks the queen, and it allows me to trade off his bishop, which would be great for me. But he played queen to a4. That was quite a blunder. It was a big one because it allowed me to get the initiative with knight to c3. That was the great move of the game. And the queen doesn't have many places to go. Like, she could try to maybe pin the knight with queen to b4, but then I just kick it with a3, and then the queen would have to move again. So they moved it to to d4, and now this allowed me to get my bishop out, develop it, winning a tempo on the queen. And this is very important because when the queen moves away to b4, now I win the bishop because on g4, because first I'll capture I will capture his c5 bishop, and if he doesn't capture it, he's just down a piece. Actually, he'd be down 2 pieces. So he has to capture it, and that took his defense off of the bishop on g4. So I captured it, and he castled. And it's weird because it's like right into the attack of my queen. It's all pointed over there. I guess I was supposed to queenside castle here. But I didn't like the idea of the queen being right in my business like that. So I decided to go for this route and probably play king to h1 if the queen remained on the a7 to g1 diagonal. So he moves his rook over to e8. He's trying to take control of the e-file, and I countered it because it's good for me. I'm up a piece. Like, any trades are good for me. So he moves his rook over to d8. He doesn't trade. And I played my rook a1 to d1, and I'm setting up a trap. I am setting up the nasty discovery bishop captures h7 check, which would unveil the rook's x-ray attack on the rook on d8, and I would be able to capture it on my next move after he takes the bishop. So, seeing that, he countered my queen first, because now I can't play bishop to h7 check, because if the king captures it, well, my queen's still captured, and I don't have time to capture the rook on d8. So that doesn't work. So I played queen to g3, just keeping the pin line and the attack on the king's side. And he played knight to d7. And I played knight e4. I wanted to gain a tempo on the queen. And just to set up the possibility, if his knight moves, of knight captures f6 check, the pawn on g7 cannot capture the knight. So that would have been a free pawn, and his king would have been in a lot of trouble after that. So he played queen to e5, trying to trade it off. And I didn't trade because I didn't want to give his knight position or to allow him to undouble his pawns. So I moved my queen to h5 to keep, or to h3 to keep pressure on the h5 pawn, and to keep pressure on the knight on d7. The rook is x-raying it, and combined with the queen on h3, there's potential for discovery attacks. And so now he moved his rook over to b8, which I think is kind of funny. It allows me to get a discovery in on his queen with my knight moving, and so that's what I do. I just moved it back. I'm just threatening to take the pawn, and I'm going to win it. So, plus I'm taking total control of the e-file. And here I just decided to take the pawn. In retrospect, I probably should have played rook to e7 and just took complete control of the e-file with rook de1 to follow. But I chose not to do that because I just wanted the free pawn and I wanted to keep the attack on his king. So he played knight to e5, trying to centralize. And I think he wants to trade off my bishop, which, I mean, I'm okay with that. It's a trade. I'm up. It's good for me. And then I can just take control of the d-file if he does that. So I played the knight back because I wanted to get it back to e4 and exert more pressure and possibly hop over to the queen side. He plays queen to h6. This move I did not like from him because it just allows me to trade the queens. He's down material. Shouldn't be doing that. And it double isolates his pawns. He's got double isolated pawns and a double isolated pawn on the h-file. So this allows me to freeze the f-pawn in place with bishop to f5, and also setting the possibility up of rook to d7 if the knight should move. And also it sets up the possibility of knight h5 or e4, and knight captures f6. So, well, he played his rook to e8, and that allowed me to set up a fork with knight h5. But first, I noticed that I need luff for my king, so I played h3 to just make sure that I don't get back rank mated, because I had the time to play such a move. And he played knight to g6. Now right here, I could have captured his rook, or his knight, and probably won the endgame, but I wanted to exert more pressure, so I played knight to h5. And what this move does is it makes it to where he's going to lose the pawn. He has no defense to knight captures f6 check. So he captures my rook. Says it's the best move. I mean, he doesn't really have a whole lot of hope here. So I capture back, obviously, and he plays rook to d8. Now he wants to try and get his rook in on d2. So what I do is I stop that with a two-move maneuver. First I take the pawn with check on f6, and the king moves up to g7, and then I use that time to move my knight to e4, which notice now it is guarding against rook to d2. I do not want that rook getting to my second rank. And it has ideas of swinging it over to the queen side as well. Now he plays rook to e8. He's hoping to maybe take advantage of the pin on my knight, but it's not easy for him to do that. It's actually very difficult. So I just move my king over to f1, and that stops any surprise battering attacks on my knight. So he moves his knight to h4. I understand the purpose of it. Like, he wants to fork my pieces, because the only practical square for my bishop to move to is to go to g4. Because if I went bishop to d7, then he would just threaten it with rook to d8, and then my bishop would go back to g4, and then he would fork me with f5 anyway. So I saved time, and I noticed that even though he forks me with f5, I have the counterattack move, and this stops him from winning material. I played g3, and it attacks the knight. Yeah, he gets my bishop or my knight, whatever, but I get his knight. Trades are good for me, so I allowed him to set up that fork. And I took his knight. He took my h3 pawn, and now my king has a direct path to terminate the pawn. So he moves h5, and I played king to h2, just threatening to take the pawn. He can't stop it. He moves king to g6. Centralization is good. And I took the pawn on h3. Now, he played b6, because he doesn't really have a lot of options, and like no matter what he does, I'm going to take over the game. So I just played rook to e3. I am threatening to move the knight and try to trade rooks. That would be great for me. So he plays rook to e6. He's guarding his 6th rank, and If my knight moves, he's probably going to try to get in rook to d6. I moved it anyway. I'm trying to trade. And he moved rook to f6. It's attacking my f2 pawn, so I just pushed it up one square. He's not going to get to it. His king is cut off by the knight and the pawn, so his king can't access the 5th rank, so he can't come anywhere close, and that one rook is not going to be able to win my pawn. So he played b5, just trying to expand on the queen side, maybe try to create a pass pawn over there. And I move king to g2. I'm trying to transfer my king to the center of the board now, since his king is pretty much locked out. So he plays a5, continuing the thrust on the queen side, and I played b3. Now, the idea of this is I just want to stop him from continuing to push his pawns. Like, you let him get too far, it can be a problem. I don't want him getting in a4 without me having a say in it, because I'd like to isolate his pawns. So, that stops a4, and in the event that he pushes b4, it does kind of fix my pawns in place, but not really, because I can just attack it if he plays b4 with c3, and then the pawns are going to get traded off. And likely, actually, I would play c4, trying to close it, and tempt him to do en passant. He'll probably do it anyway. So he played king to h6, which I don't really understand that move. I guess he doesn't have much to do. But now I took advantage of the 5th rank. I just took control of it, and I am threatening the h5 pawn, which will now fall. Now he plays rook to g6, just keeping a pin on my knight. But I just take his pawn. It was time. And now we have a passer on the king side. So he moves king to g7, completely forced. And I played rook to c5, just trying to stop his c pawn from advancing and to put pressure on his 5th rank. He plays king to h7. Which stops me from taking the c6 pawn. He didn't want to move his rook, and he didn't have too many options. So if he moved his rook to either the black squares, f6 or h6, I would have checked it with knight h6 and knight f6 check, respectively. So he didn't really have a lot of options there. And he obviously couldn't move his rook to d6 either, because that would have been a nasty knight f6 check and fork. Or wait. No, it wouldn't have been knight f6 and knight h6 on that move. If he moved rook to f6 or h6, it would have been knight h5 or knight f5 check, respectively. And if the rook moves to d6, then I play knight f5 check, winning the rook with the fork. So he played king h7, and I just decided to thrust forward with my pawn. I want to take more space, and this is the perfect opportunity to do it. I want to threaten f5 and just force his rook onto f6 or back. Could also go to d6, but it doesn't really matter where it goes at this point. My rook is fully defending my 2nd rank, so if he tries to infiltrate, it's of no consequence to me. So he moves his king to g8, and I just played h5 with the threat of playing rook to g5, which actually I could have played that before. I could have traded off his rook, so I don't know why it says that was the best move. I guess, oh, I actually didn't want to trade rooks. That's right. That's why I did that. I did not want to trade rooks. A knight endgame to me was more complicated, and this is faster. So he played rook to h6, and I played knight f5. I am threatening, if he takes rook h5, just the nasty knight to e7 check, which would just win the fork because, or win the rook with a, not a fork, but a discovered check. Or a discovery on his rook with my knight check. So he can't play rook captures h5. So he plays rook to e6. And here I decided, okay, now it's time to trade off the rook. Let's get rid of it. And he didn't trade it off, so I just decided, okay, well, let's just push h6. And, you know, he can trade it off for the rook and the king, but this baby's getting close to queening. So now he plays rook to f7, and I played king to f3, just trying to centralize, get my king off the g-file. Don't want any nasty checks or anything to come in, even though I don't see what they could really do at this point. And he played king to h7. I continued to play my king to the center with king to e4, and possibly try to terrorize the queen side. He played a4, so I thought, well, this is the perfect time to just isolate his pawns. And the idea is I'm going to win one of them. And then I'll have a pass pawn on the king side and a pass pawn or two on the queen side, plus a pass pawn on the f-file. So his game is just going down quickly. So I played rook to e6 to threaten that pawn. And should he play rook to c7 defending it, I was prepared to just do rook to e7 check and just trade it off, and then, you know, let him take the pawn on the h6 square, but it's going to come at the cost of his c pawn, and my f and c pawns will just finish him off. So he played c5, which now I just take advantage of immediately by playing rook to c6. He has no way to defend it, so it's just free for the taking on the next move. So he plays rook to h7, I guess to just defend his other pawn, and also because he didn't really have much anything else he could do. And I played rook captures c5. Uh-oh, hold on a second. That was a mistake I just did. Ugh. Apologies. I don't know why I did that, but we will get back to where we were. And okay, so he played rook to f7, just, I don't know, trying to stop my king probably from getting to the f-file, which I don't care to get there. So I just played rook to a5, just going after that other a pawn of his. And he played rook to c7, counterattacking my c pawn. So I decided, you're not going to have any of it. I defended it with my knight, with knight to d4. He played rook to c4, and now I need to defend my pawn on the king side, because I just don't want him getting anything. So I played rook to a6, defending the h6 pawn, and I am threatening to move my king over there and then do a nasty check on the h7 square. So he moved his king to g8, and I played f5, because I'm just trying to, like I said, clear my way for the king to come over. I might possibly checkmate him on the back rank. So he plays king to h7, and I played king to e5. Still defending the knight, because if I had moved king to f4 like I wanted to last move, he would have gotten the knight with check. Rook captures d4 check, so can't blunder the knight. He played rook to c8, and I played king to f4, because now the knight is no longer attacked by the rook. he decided that he wanted to attack my knight again and pin it, but I just said, no, that's useless. You're not doing anything with that. And I played rook to d6. The rook's guarding the knight, the knight's guarding the pawn, and my king is about to walk to g5. So he played rook to c7. Says it's an inaccuracy. I mean, at this point, there is not much he can do. So, I mean, it probably wanted him to play back to the back rank and go rook to c8, and that way he could threaten a nasty, or threaten some kind of a check, and defense with rook to g8, should my rook get to the back rank. So I decided to play king to g5. This was a long time coming, and now it's checkmate in 12, I guess, if everybody does the right moves. Now he played rook to b7. Apparently that was best. He probably just needed to keep his rook on the 7th rank. And I played knight to e6. I am threatening to cut off the king. First with... Let me see. What was my train of thought there? I think I just wanted to get my knight around to where it stopped the king from accessing the 7th rank once my rook got a good check in there. No, the idea is to move king to h5. Right. The idea is to move king to h5 and then set up knight to g6 check, which kicks his king to the back rank. And the knight and pawn keep his king from accessing the 7th rank. So now he plays rook to e7, and I played, as my plan was, king to h5. Sorry about that little text message that popped up there. And now he pretty much doesn't have much of a defense against knight to g6 check and my rook eventually checkmating him on the back rank. So he played rook to b7. And it was imperative for him to guard the back rank with rook to e8, because now this just allows me to get knight to g6 check in. And no matter what he does, it's mate in 1. And I finished the game off with rook to d8 checkmate. I know this video was a little long, but I hope it helped you guys understand how I think, how somebody at my level thinks. And hopefully it gives you some insight on how to defeat chess engines in the 1500 area. Alright, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Oh, wait. I forgot to show you guys. I had one great move. The inaccuracy and mistake were at the beginning, and those kind of the inaccuracy kind of followed the mistake. They were like 2 in a row. So I was at a disadvantage, not a losing position there, but I found a way out of it. But every other move was either best or excellent, except for one good. So I would say I played a pretty good game. And it says I had 89.5% accuracy, as opposed to 85.3%. So usually when the accuracies are close together, that means that it's more credible, if that makes sense. Like if say he had an accuracy of like 60% and I had 89.5%, it's not really impressive because he's not playing the best moves and they're easily capitalized off of. But for him to have 85.3 and me 89.5, it shows that we were both playing at a reasonably high level. And so what it says here is that I played at 2400 level, which is like international master, and he played at 2100 level, which is like expert, mid-expert level. In no way, shape, or form do I believe that I actually played at the strength of an international master. I think that chess.com kind of buffs up these ratings a little bit. But in any case, I still feel like, despite my opening, I played a pretty strong game. And so yeah, that was the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And now I will talk to you all soon.